Hey traders, this is Christian from Hertz Tribeca Trade Group with your end of day recap for Thursday, and tonight's going to be a shorter one today. Not that many notable trades to really talk about today, with the market taking a breather. I would say this is kind of a well-needed breather after we talked about this in last night's video. Market's really getting overbought with yesterday's move. What was this move yesterday? Just a combination of things. We talked about this in the beginning of last night's call, but once I see the ETF flows from the previous day, it takes a day for Bloomberg to publish those flows. And you could see that this was first of the day, first of the month buying. Look at the look at the inflows going into SPY yesterday, $8.2 billion. Sometimes this happens. There's a couple funds out there, and I know from my experience as an institutional trader, I know one particular fund that does this. They just buy a lot on the first day of the month, and then they may do it again on the 15th of the month, but the first day of the month, they have their model says buy, and they do it all in basically one day, and then that's it. So if buyers are all come in one day, and then they aren't there the second day, and the algos kind of pick up on that, we kind of saw a little bit of digestion today. So I do want to go over a couple charts, and then we'll talk about today's option activity, which was not much. So not really, you look at today, and I would say, going to use the Animal House quote, all is not lost here. All is okay here, because it's basically just an inside day. We had this humongous day yesterday, so nothing wrong with the S&P. We'll go over just Nasdaq. Same thing with Nasdaq. It's right above value here. IWM, a little bit more, still just can't get away from, can't break out here. So I did not put on a trade yesterday. I was talking about doing it yesterday, and I wanted to see how we were going to close. We didn't really close on the highs yesterday, which may have been a little bit of a signal. But same thing here. This one we're above the 20 period exponential moving average, so we're still in a uptrend. And I may look to put that trade on, kind of leg into that tomorrow. Being that we're above the 20 period exponential moving average, but no trade yet for me in IWM. I also want to see if we can get back above 140.13. I know I'm being really particular and picky here, but 140.13 is the new level to watch for value areas. Again, if you're watching this video and you don't know much about value areas, it's basically, you could see the volume profile here. It's volume at price, and the value area is a one standard deviation move from the last period. So February's price action, you can see the shadow here, and we're using a one standard deviation of where all the volume occurred at price, and these really act as really good support and resistance levels. So until we really get back above 140.13, you can speculate if we're going to get back above there. Hasn't happened yet. So that's the major indices. A couple of things really took a hit today. Glad I'm not in GDXJ. This was a trade that I did try. I lost a little bit of money on I said I was going to be in this trade as long as it stayed above the 200-day moving average. Once it broke, I was out, and look at this thing crater, down another 8% now. Gold was down 1%. This was one of those days where you couldn't really hide in much. Sometimes it's just better to have cash. We've seen this in the past where either everything goes up or everything goes down, meaning stocks, gold, and bonds. Because bonds were down as well. Bonds were down. I see TLT not down that much, down about 35 basis points, but gold was down 1.2% today. So one of those days where everything gets hit. The only thing that I saw that was up decently, XRT was up a little bit. Utilities also outperformed well, and Bitcoin, which everybody's talking about, has been up as well. But at the beginning of the day, we kind of noticed this, right? I use this again as a really decent gauge of whether or not I'm going to be day trading a lot. And when I see the market breadth indicator all red like this, meaning a lot of names are declining rather than advancing, and it's full force. I don't really day trade much at all. The only trade that I took today was Oclaro. I'll kind of get into the option activity. This is a name that's kind of been down quite a bit. We saw some put buying up here, but this has been going on for the last couple of months in in CLAR. I don't know if something else is going on other than people just thinking that the price goes up. It did not close in value, so I'll have to kind of watch this name tomorrow. I don't really like kind of a doji. I would have really liked to see a close inside the value area. That's more of a buy signal. So no buy signal triggered, but in CLAR you could see that there was about 10,000 of those contracts, April contracts that went up. They also went after some of the March 9s as well. So this was a good example of when a repeat buyer shows up here. So they went after these a couple times. April 8s, you could those were actually puts that went up, but the majority of the order that went up today was calls and aggressive call buying in that name. Just a couple other sectors just to kind of gloss over a bit. You can see what happened with AMD today. AMD still, in this uptrend. In the beginning of the week, you remember we saw a lot of call buying in AMD. Watch that 20-period exponential moving average. And if you don't want to see, now I know I'm going to go to the weekly chart here, so I don't want to scare anybody. You could look away, and of course the week isn't over yet. So the most important thing will be the for a weekly bar is waiting till the end of the week to see how it materializes. But take a look at the bar that's forming here in AMD. Again, it could look quite different. This is not a completed bar. I'm just kind of looking to see how things are lining up. Very similar looking bar that we saw in NVIDIA. Not exactly the same thing, but you could see a shooting star candle and a reversal. We're still kind of in pain here in this name. It's still 93.32 is your support in this name, but it just doesn't look healthy right now. And you could see the price action. We went below. We had a nice climb above, but we could never really get above this yellow line on my chart, indicating that it's still in a downtrend and still weak since the moving average crossover that happened a couple weeks ago on those double downgrades that happened in the name. So semis, I would watch. I'm a little bit worried about them. I think even after Vago had a really good quarter, Broadcom had a really good quarter, and you could see that it kind of closed close to the lows. It still finished up 1%, but when you start to see this happens, Micron got an upgrade as well. Micron. Probably a couple months ago, Micron would have been up about 3 or 4% on the upgrade, but it just tells me that the semi rally. I mean, they've been on a great tear, and I'm not trying to call a top or anything like that, but I'm just noticing that the sentiment. Once you start to have positive things go on in the group and it doesn't rally as much as it did, in previous months, tells me that the rally may be getting a little bit long in the tooth in some of these semi names. So something to kind of watch. Again, really nothing to look at, in terms of trend break, but watch that 20-period exponential moving average. That would be something to watch going forward, and so I would say no trade yet to do in semis, but I'm kind of eyeing a short if it does break down and gets below this blue line that's in my chart. What else? Do we have any other interesting option activity? A couple consumer staples names, which have seen kind of a rotation here and there. KMB had a nice day today. Pretty nice call buyer in this one. Pretty sizable call buyer, I would say. This was a total of 11,000 contracts, July 150s traded. And you could see there was a block. I think one block wasn't exactly swept, but you could see this 4100 went up. You can see implied volatility go up. So it does look like these were bought here in KMB. Other than that, a couple fake outs, I would say. Western Digital, there was some call buying this morning. And we saw this in a bunch of names this morning where they started to go higher. I need to zoom out there a little bit. Kind of a false breakout day. So we actually started the day higher here and looked like things were going to, like Western Digital was going to have a really nice day. And then I don't know how many negative bars, too many to count here in a row. So really a failure, I would say, for Western Digital. I am long what am I long? As a April 80-90 call spread. So I didn't really touch it today. I want to see what it's going to do tomorrow. Again, kind of got to the top of value here. And that's as far as we got. So again, using these value areas, it hit the resistance and didn't want to go much further. What else can we? What else was notable today? Just also the steel names. Besides, I talked about gold miners. Take a look at the XME ETF. Ouch. Another big move, down 4.8%. And there is a steel ETF. It's SLX. So this looks a little bit troubled too. Just looking at the trend right now, it's sinking below the 20 period exponential moving average. So there is some support here. If not, I think the steel rally may be in a little bit of jeopardy here. Again, too early to see. Maybe one more day. If we get another big sell-off day, possibly the steels might be setting up as a short. If you get that moving average crossover between the yellow and the blue. In commodities, oil very weak. Again, there was a technician that was on Fast Money last night talking about how he thinks oil is going to go higher, and there's seasonality in March and April in crude. Sure, there certainly is, but I'm not going to make that call that I think oil goes higher. I'm going to make the call if it breaks above, I'd say $55. And on the downside, I think you just have to watch and be patient here. If it breaks the 200-day moving average, watch your energy names here. They are gonna move lower, I believe, if that happens. So it's too early to call. I mean, this is pretty neutral to me. So until it breaks upward 55, until it breaks 51.76, I would say sit tight for the time being, and don't try to anticipate. In trading, a lot of times you can make mistakes and anticipating things that don't actually happen. If you want to anticipate things a little bit and take, maybe trade something, very, very lightly, trying to speculate on something that's going to happen rather than waiting for the price to actually confirm it for you. But I would say I think crude could go either way here, and so could energy stocks here. They had one nice day yesterday, an inside day yesterday, but they're still not out of this little mini downtrend yet. So they're kind of caught between this 20 period moving average and the 200 day. So again, I would wait a little bit. I would definitely keep an eye and monitor this on a daily basis, but I think wait for some confirmation here before jumping in with 2 feet into this trade, because I hear it being talked a lot about, hey, how the energy could be a catch-up trade. If it could be a catch-up trade, but I would wait. Another failure for today was biotech started the day higher. So while there isn't any technical damage done in the Qs or in S&P, keep an eye on a couple sectors here that try to go higher in the beginning of the day and then failed. Again, no technical damage done here. This is an ugly looking candle, another shooting star looking candle. See if it can maintain this 5 period exponential moving average. So that's where I'll leave it for tonight. Everybody have a great night, and I'll see you back bright and early for the early morning session at 8:40 in the morning in the Tribeca Trade Group room. Thanks, everybody. Have a great night.